So we were talking the other day, and you asked me about my career, and I was thinking about something that I think it was something I'd read. Maybe it was in a movie. I don't know. But anyways, the concept was that in a perfect world, we should live our lives in reverse, so that we could take all the experience we had in life and apply it to the challenges that we had. And as I was talking to you, I thought, wait a minute, that's my career. So I had the fortune of I wanted to be an artist. That didn't, I realized that was a long shot at best. So, and I wanted, at that point, I wanted to have children and give them a good life, etc., etc. So I thought it was time to go back to university. Decided I would be a social worker. That would be a noble thing for me to do. And in the process of doing that, there wasn't employment, so I got really good at getting government grants and then starting these little projects up. Next thing I know, my work career had gone into administration. And it stayed that way for the course of my career. And I retired. But I retired and I think I had too much energy, spent too much time at the gym. And so my wife said, well, you should go back to work. And I thought, well, I don't want to go back and do administration. I've had enough of that. So a good friend of mine said, well, what did you want to do originally? I mean, did you want to do this administration? No, I want to be a social worker. He said, well, go be a social worker. So for the last 6 years, before I retired again a couple of years ago, I was a social worker. And for the first time at the Royal Jubilee Hospital in the ER and the ICU. And that experience for me, it was, all my jobs I loved all my jobs, and I had a great career. But that experience, I just feel it set me up for retirement. The things that I learned and the opportunities I had to connect with people. Essentially, that job is dealing with people under crisis and asking them, what can I do to help you? And so enriching for myself, and such a nice natural transition into retirement. I was drained at the end of that 6 years, and I really had a sense of this is some time for me to be focus on myself, my family, and a small group of friends that I'll gather around me, and that's the way it's turning out. So. Okay, and then there's the art. Yeah, so all through school I was a doodler. And everybody else was focused. I was doodling on the page, and I was always getting reprimanded for my doodling. People would say, that's pretty good doodling, but you're supposed to be doing X or Y. And when my wife had cancer, and as she was coming to the end of her life, again, the same sort of thing, you really focus on the person and what you can do, they become the center of your life. And she said she knew I was artistic. And she said, I want you to do a portrait of the dogs. So we had 4 Dobermans that were the love of her life. She loved these monster dogs that she would get, Doberman Pinschers. And so I did that. And for the last 3 dogs, she had kept their ashes in urns. And she kept them in the bedroom up on a shelf. So I said, well, why don't I take some of the ashes and I'll put it in these portraits. It'll make it sort of a good way, and then I can get rid of the urns. And so that's what I did, and then she let me get rid of the urns. When she came to the end of her life, one of the things, the only thing that she was concerned about was being forgotten. And since she liked the ashes in the painting, I did 2 portraits of her. One when I met her and when she was in her late 20s, and the other one in her 60s, when she was still a beautiful woman, but much older. And I put ashes from her in those paintings, and those paintings I put into my daughters. And that expression of my artisticness, if that's a word, was an amazing process for me to grieve the loss of my wife, to exercise a skill that I had, and I haven't stopped painting since. Right now I'm working on bird houses for the Anglican Church. They're doing a fundraiser for Syrian families, and I can be my artsy guy, and I can be competitive at the same time, because 10 of the 100 artists that they've asked to paint these birdhouses, I don't know whose idea that was, the birdhouses, but are going to be live auctioned as opposed to silent auctions. And by God, I got to get my house in that, in that group of 10.